Right, there is quite a bit of swimming going on in the background tonight, but it's going to be a fantastic night. Definitely looking forward to it. You have been introduced to the different officials that will be working tonight in the background to bring together a truly fair and fun contest for our contestants and for our audience members tonight. Really looking forward to it. But before I do, I need to do a quick check-in with with my chief judge to make sure the various teams that are on board have been briefed and that they are ready. I know my contestants are ready. Our background Zoom masters are ready as well. Chief Judge Eric Mons, have you briefed the judges and are they ready?
They are all ready, thank you, sir.
And then I must ask, are the timekeepers ready?
The timekeepers are ready.
Fantastic. And then the last group is the ballot counters. Are they ready?
The other counters are all briefed and ready. Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Chair.
Thank you, Chief Judge Eric Mons. It's quite a bit of swimming, as I said in the background. We are all ready. I am ready. And I know our audience is ready too for an exciting night filled with speeches. It is 3 clubs in contest, 6 different speeches will be part of the international speech contest, the evaluations, and also the table topics contest as well, which is what we're heading into now. So how are these contests going to work? Well, simply put, I'm going to be introducing each speaker. As I do that, it really will be just the speaker's name and the title of their speech, followed by their speaker's name. At the conclusion of each speech, there will be 1 minute of silence. This is so that judges can prepare their ballots and finalize their scores. And those scores we need to determine who are the winners of the 3 contests from the 3 clubs that are in contest tonight. And that's what that minute is for. We ask that we do not have any sudden noises during that time. And then after the last 1 minute of silence for each contestant, when we get rather to the end of the table topics contest, which is what is going to start now, we will give an additional minute. And this is so that the judges can finalize their scoring for that specific category. Forms will be submitted in the background to the ballot counters as the contest is ongoing, and we'll finalize all the results right at the end tonight. If there are any protests, they may be entered by contestants or judges to the chief judge or myself as content chair. And once the results are announced, please bear in mind that they are in fact final. So with that said, and with the audience aware of how proceedings are going to go, we are now ready for the table topics contest. The purpose of today's contest is to provide an opportunity for speakers to improve their speaking abilities and to recognize the best and use it as an encouragement for all of them. To provide an opportunity by observing the more proficient speakers who have benefited from their Toastmasters training. We have 6 contestants in tonight's competition, or contest rather, and the contestants have drawn a speaking order, and that order is as follows. From Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club, we have Nhlanhla Mafarafara speaking first, followed by Eva Mtimunye. Then from Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, we have Mari Grobler, followed by Albert Rickards. And then from Walvis Bay Club, we have Lynette Boyson, who will be speaking first, ahead of CJ Jansen. I trust that is in order for all our judges, Chief Judge. That is the speaking order. I have a thumbs up there. So, all contestants, what's going to happen in this table topics contest? All contestants will receive the exact same topic and have 2 minutes to speak. If a contestant speaks for less than 1 minute or more than 2 minutes 30 seconds, it is a disqualification. But we know that our Toastmasters tonight are well rehearsed and that won't be happening very much. Time begins when we see the first indication, where it's a verbal action or a physical action with the audience. Our speakers will receive, our contestants rather, will receive a green at 1 minute, they will receive yellow at 1 minute 30 seconds, and then the screen will go red for them. They have been briefed to pin their timekeeper when their speeches start, and they will keep track of the time in that manner. So the audience won't be able to really see the timekeeper's indications. There will be no time indication if they're speaking over time, and judges will be required to, or have been asked to, rank the speakers regardless of how long the speaker took to deliver their speech. After the contest is finished, all contestants will take a seat and they'll remain in the room. After the contestant is done speaking, they will be given an opportunity to stay in the room and hear all the other table topics. Between speeches, there will be 1 minute of silence, and that is, as indicated, what the judges will use to prepare their ballots. I will now ask our Zoom master to move our contestants into a separate room and then leave the first speaker, Nhlanhla Mafarafara, in the room so that we can begin the table topics contest, and I can give him his table topic for tonight. Backup judge, Chief Judge, can it be?
Thank you, Mr. Contest Chair. I would just like to bring to the attention of the Zoom master to just click the recreate button on the breakout room so that all the people that have been assigned to the rooms can go there. And I'd like to ask all the speakers that when they get that signal to go to the breakout room to do so, except for Mr. Nhlanhla Mafarafara, he stays behind. However, Zoom master, you also need to add CJ to that room. I see because he arrived a bit late, he was not added to that room. So if you could just add him to that room as well. And let's just press the button, recreate, and then you can add CJ. Is that fine, Zoom master?
Yes, it's fine. I've invited them.
Thank you.
All right. Oh gosh, let me see. Let me just have a look here. In our gallery, have all the speakers left. I see Albert Rickards is still in the room. Needs to go. Granny B, is that an old hand or is this a new hand?
Sorry, I'm focusing on something else. It's an old hand. Let me just remove it. And I am also just observing the room situation because it seems like there are now extra rooms there. I need to just make sure because we sit with a room issue.
I see
think
only Nhlanhla is in this room.
Yes, speakers, some of the speakers have gone in. I just want to monitor here quickly.
I'll get a thumbs up
Okay.
from Chief Judge before we continue.
Yes, because there's problems. Let's just quickly sort out the rooms. The room issue is not well. We need to just deal with that. There's a Pakami Dawana in a room there. Can you please remove them to the main session? Then the telecounters also must come out from there. That we can just have the speakers in that room, please. There is a, let me just move that speaker.
I think it's Pakamani Ndwandwa you mentioned. Okay, he's back in the main room.
Okay, I have sent the speaker now that was missing into the correct room. Right, let me just make sure Walvis Bay speakers are there, Swakopmund speakers are there, and the one, and the Chief Judge is there with them at the moment. That's good. The rest, can just come to the main session. They are in a room. I just want to take them out and put them in the main room. There are people that have been put into a second room. Okay. They should be moving now. I trust that if you just wait 30 seconds, we should be able to go.
Not a problem, Granny.
Thank you. Everything is set and ready. We have all the speakers in the room and the other people are out of the room. That should be out. Let the contest continue.
And I see our first speaker is up. Our first contestant is Nhlanhla Mafarafara. The topic is the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. Nhlanhla Mafarafara.
There's potential that he has not been made co-host yet by the Zoom master. Otherwise, he cannot participate. Zoom master, please make him co-host. And while I'm talking to you, Zoom master, I'll handle the breakout rooms. If you can handle the spotlight and making people co-host, seeing as the other Zoom master has not arrived, I will help you that way.
Can I begin?
Yes, you may.
The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph, a little bit of an energy, a little bit of a step. Every journey begins with but one step, and just exerting a little bit of an energy on every try that you have creates an additional level of success for yourself. Be it losing weight, be it starting a business, be it starting an investment project, be it starting a family, whatever it is, just a little bit of an oomph creates a little bit of additional success for yourself. In any case, nobody achieves any kind of success by turning over and over ideas in their mind. Success is achieved by taking a little bit of an emphatic step towards the right direction. One step at a time, a journey is built. It is said that Rome was not built in one day, meaning one brick, one layer at a time, you are able to achieve a little bit of triumph. My name is Nhlanhla. Back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Nhlanhla Mafarafara. I request 1 minute of silence for judges. That is the end of the first minute, the 1 minute of silence. Just want to check that our next speaker, Eva Mtimunye, she can be led back into the room. Right, I see Eva is in the room. Can you turn on your camera and unmute yourself so we can make sure that's in order before I introduce you? Okay, she needs to be given co-host rights. Right, I can hear you and I can see you. Our next contestant is Eva Mchimunye. The topic is the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. Eva Mchimunye.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The differences between tribe and tribe, it's a little oomph. Yes. If you try hard, no matter what, you will be able to succeed. But therefore, it depends to what level you're trying. And to try does not mean that you need to give up, but you can continue and step ahead. Who knows? You might be able to make it. And tribe, in other instances, is that you just have to be who you are, and all will fall in place. And I believe that with that mindset, you should be able to achieve anything that you want to achieve. Do we believe that we have the capabilities? Yes, we do. Do I believe I do have? Yes, I do believe I do have that capability. Making mistakes sometimes, it helps because you can go back and rectify. Should we not try? Continue trying if you feel that it is what you need to do. In that instant, I like to say, let's challenge ourselves at all the times, because if you continue, you fall, you don't look back, but you go forward. Should we not continue to do it more and more, despite how difficult it is, how complicated it might be? Keep on trying and you will strive. I thank you because I understand that we can try.
I request 1 minute silence for our judges. That marks the end of 1 minute. Can we get our next contestant in the room? That is Mari of Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. We can assign her the rights. So she can unmute herself and turn on her camera. I can see you, Mari. Can you just do a quick audio check?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I can hear you too. Our next contestant is Mari Grobler. The topic is, the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. Mari Grobler.
Can I stop? Okay. Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Trying and trying is a little oomph. I would go that each step of the way that you go with your leadership training or with your speech that you go through Toastmasters, you can learn a little bit. It takes time. It doesn't take overnight that you reach your end point, but if you keep on practicing and if you keep on to where it is that your goal is, you will certainly achieve it. Also with some of your Toastmaster members, you can achieve that. If you're not sure when to say what, or maybe that you need guidance on that, that also takes a little bit of your time and efforts that you are going to have to put in to get where you want to be. So that is one key to remember. And then don't be too hard on yourself, because sometimes in life one is too hard on oneself. You can gain that additional trust in the environment that you put yourself in with Toastmasters. That will allow you to grow even further. And also with the advice of more advanced speakers, which have gone a long time in the speech development areas, they can assist you time and time and again. So go and ask them, and don't allow your thoughts to ruin your way of thinking, but rather that you can succeed together in your leadership journey. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We thank the speaker. Request 1 minute of silence for our judges. That marks the end of the minute. I see our next speaker. I can hear our speaker and I can see our next speaker. Before I hand over to our speaker, I'm going to request our second timer. Timer Moloto, if you could please just turn on your camera so we can have the two timers available for our speakers. All right, I'll request again just our first timer, Desero, if you can please. Granny B, backup charge.
Yes, a point of order there, contest chair. First timer needs to display the times, not the second one. The second one only is supposed to display the time for the 1 minute silence, while the other one is busy writing the times in and keeps a record of the times. because it is confusing for a speaker if there are two different times, because nobody can ever change them at the same time. So we just have the first timer showing theirs, but the second timer only takes care of the 1 minute silence. Thank you.
Oh, okay, sorry. That was an error in my part. Thank you for clearing that up, Granny B. All right, I see, I understand. So I see we've got one timer and the others just keeping track of time. That is perfect, and we've had good stable connections from them. That is perfect. Well, our next contestant is Albert Rickards. The topic for you is the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. Albert Rickards.
Right. The difference between try and triumph is oomph. Try. How many times today we try and try and try, but at the end of the day, what are we trying? Are we trying to get the triumph at the end of the day, which can maybe give you that oomph later on? Or is it you try and you try and you try and you try, but then all of a sudden your try is no more triumph, and it doesn't give you that oomph, but just a poof. So my thing is, try your best ability, and try whatever you can do to get that triumph and that oomph. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
We request 1 minute silence for the judges. That marks the end of the minute silence. Just like to check in our room for our next speaker. Can give her the hosting rights so she can unmute herself, co-hosting rights so she can unmute herself and turn on her video. I see she's unmuted, waiting for the video.
Just a moment.
Not a problem.
There we go.
All right. I can see you and I can hear you.
Excellent.
Our next contestant is Lynette Boyson. Your topic is the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. Lynette Boyson.
I think we've all experienced this in the last 2 years, where we have been faced with many difficult situations where we've been tested and tested and tested again. And as a parent, I can surely attest to this. I often joke about how the only way that I can teach my children something, and if there are any educators or teachers in the house, they can also confirm this. It is repetition, repetition, repetition. It is the only thing that works. But somehow we as adults tend to forget that. So the message really is that if you want to put something forward, you have to try, and we have to try. And then we need to find that fire inside of ourselves, that little bit of oomph or va-va-voom to push us over the edge. It's so easy to sit back and accept our lot, to accept our situations, because I think in some cases, especially in the pandemic that we've been living in, many decisions have been made for us. And the one message that I can definitely give you is that we need to take charge of our lives again. We need to find that burning fire inside ourselves, find that oomph and that va-va-voom, and create our own destinies.
We will have 1 minute of silence for the judges. That marks the end of the minute. I see our speaker is back in the main room. CJ, if you can, he is named Cornelius John, so if you could just give him the co-host rights. Can he be?
I do believe he voiced that he was having a problem. And so we just need to test to see whether he's able to overcome that problem. He was not able to hear or speak. So we must just see that that is sorted. Okay.
All right, we'll check that now. If we can afford him the rights so he can unmute and turn on his video, and we'll do a quick check.
CJ Johnson is our co-host.
All right, CJ, if you can unmute, and all right, we can see you. If you can just say hello at us. Unmute yourself. You can't hear anything. Still can't hear anything? Can you unmute yourself? Okay, you're unmuted, speak.
Mr. Contest Chair, I'm going to actually phone him and see if that works, because there, he's unmuted.
All right. We can hear you. But can you hear us? Chief Judge, may I share his table topic in the chat? Is that appropriate?
No, let me just quickly phone him. Let me just quickly phone him.
All right.
you might just type in the chat box for him that we can hear him, because maybe he's just on a low volume. He's not answering his phone.
All right.
We just give it.
I'll let him know. Yeah, he's switching to his phone. He's asked to switch to his phone. We'll give him a moment to switch to his phone. That will allow him to, so that he can participate. So we'll just need to afford him time to connect. We'll switch over to the timer screen in the meantime.
Okay. Can you hear me?
You will need to disconnect on one of the devices. You'll mute yourself on one device. Gosh. All right, let me just see. Okay, there he is. He's back on again. Can hear you, we can see you.
Okay, I'm just stable this. I'm so sorry for this. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay.
All right. There you are. Our next contestant. Just wait for him to be settled.
I need to find the timer to pin her or him.
All right.
Where is the timer?
Look around, you will find them. They are there. They have a big blue screen marked timer on it.
Timer number 1 or 2?
Yes. The 2 is the name you're looking for.
Okay, spotlight video.
Okay. There we go. I will replace you as the spotlight. You found your timer?
Yes, thank you.
All right, we can hear you, we can see you. Our next contestant is CJ Jansen. The topic is, the difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. The difference between try and triumph is a little oomph. CJ Jansen.
Being a baby boomer, I know what it is to really struggle through life. You know, we went through a lot of things. And for me to be able to get where I am today, I guess to experience triumph, I needed that extra oomph. If not, I would have been long gone. I can recall looking back onto my life, and I was born on the last year when the baby boomers seized. So I just missed the next generation. I also recall coming through my life, I only discovered Toastmasters about 5 years ago. And for me, you know, with my gray hair, to join all the youngsters and all the people with oomph, for me to triumph, I needed an extra oomph. Because along the way, it was, oh man, you're not a millennial, you're not this and that. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, do not look at the gray hair. Look at the inside, because that's where the oomph lies. And to get to triumph, you need that extra oomph. And despite whatever happens around me and around you, I guess we have a choice to make in this. Will I triumph? Despite our like in Namibia say technology, the technological challenges, I make a choice to triumph. I want to invite you tonight. Let's join together and let's make our lives, our community, our family, a tribe of triumph. Let's make it an absolute joy to be together. Back to you, Madam and Mr. Toastmaster.
We will have 1 minute of silence for the judges and an additional minute because we are at the last contestant for the table topics. Well, that marks the end of the 2 minutes for the table topics contest. I am so excited that we got through that table topics contest. You heard the speakers showcasing their skills, thinking on the spot, generating those ideas, and inspiring us all. We will now move on to our evaluations contest. And a reminder to our audience, tonight we have 3 clubs in contest. In the table topics, you heard the 6 speakers, 2 from each club, Naledi, Polokwani, then we had Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, and we had Walvis Toastmasters Club. We are going to do the same now for the evaluations contest. And some of you may be asking, evaluations contest? What's going to happen here? Well, for the evaluations contest, we have a demo speaker that will be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes in a contest type speech, and neither the manual project or the objectives will be made known to the contestants, judges, or the audience. The speech will be introduced by only the speaker name and the speech title and the speaker name, as you've heard me doing throughout tonight. Our evaluation contest will have, our evaluator contestants will have 5 minutes to prepare an evaluation of that speech. At the end of the 5-minute period, all preparatory notes will be collected from each of them. They will share their notes with the chief judge, and only the first contestant will be left in the room. Others will be moved into the breakout room. Each evaluator will be returned their materials when, as they're introduced for the evaluation. The introduction is limited to stating the name twice. The evaluator will be timed for 2 to 3 minutes. Evaluations that are less than 1 minute and 30 seconds or more than 3 minutes 30 seconds will be disqualified. Timing lights will be used by our one-timer to communicate with the speakers In this case, green light at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2 minutes 30, and the red light at 3 minutes. At the conclusion of each evaluation, judges will be afforded a minute to conclude their evaluations, and at the end of the contest, they will receive 2 minutes to finalize their ballots. The speaking order remains the same as it was during our table topics contest. Just to make sure that the judges are aware of that speaking order, it is for Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club, Nhlanhla Mafarafara and Eva Mtmunye. For Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, it is Mari Grobler and Albert Rickards. And then for Walvis Bay, it is Lynette Jansen and CJ. Sorry, let's do that again. Lynette Boyson and CJ Jansen. Quite a tongue twister there. That is the speaking order for our judges. I will reiterate the club that each contestant is from during the evaluations contest. I believe that we're now all ready for the evaluations contest. I'm excited, and I know the audience is just as excited too. Allow me to call onto the stage our demo speaker. Our demo speaker is Granny B, Optimum Health, Granny B.
Well, during this period of COVID, one of the biggest desires from just about anybody you meet is, I need optimum health. Fellow Toastmasters, optimum health. How do we get optimum health? Well, I have noticed that as far back as 1826, there was a French lawyer that wrote, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are." Then there's another familiar statement that says, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." Hippocrates. Optimum health. Now, I'd like to ask you, while you are watching here, please type your answer in the chat box to the following. Do you have a vegetable garden? If you have a vegetable garden, type VEG if you have a vegetable garden. The next question is, do you have a kitchen? You might say, that's pathetic. But I'm asking you, do you have a kitchen? If you have a kitchen, type KIT. So you might have a veg and a kit or just a kit. But let me see in the chat box, who am I speaking to here? Now you will think, now why on earth do I want to know whether you have a vegetable garden or a kitchen? When it comes to optimum health, well, let's have a look. You see, I have seen that organic foods have a huge influence on optimum health. How? So let's first have a look at what are organic foods. Very simply put, it's food and meat from organic farms. So what is an organic farm, or what is organic farming? It's an agricultural system that uses organic, non-GMO, non-genetically modified. We are just using pure seeds for food or fodder. It's ecologically based pest controls and biological fertilizers. I do believe the timing is incorrect. My time is 5 to 7 minutes. That takes it to being organic. Now, I would like to share with you a story about organics. They've made case studies and several studies, and a very interesting finding was that when farmers just take their ground, put seed in, throw fertilizer that is full of chemicals and water it, and they often have huge amounts of pests pestering their crops. And then they need to bring pesticides in with a lot of chemicals again. But what we found happens in organic gardening is something beautiful. You see, in an organic garden, you start with a soil that is high quality, nutritious, black, dark soil. Let me tell you, black and dark is good and it's healthy. good black dark soil. And then they put organic seeds and they water. And as these plants grow, a very interesting phenomena. They have far, far less attacks from insects and sickness and diseases than any other groupings. They seem to stay healthier. And there are organic means of dealing with little critters that come in. Now, let me take you a step further to my world. My world is a world that's connected. The connection needed to produce the healthy food in your kitchen. Why I ask you whether you have a kitchen. It starts off with collecting your offcuts while you're making food in your kitchen. You collect those offcuts and then feed and care for the worms. You might say, worms? No. I don't want worms. I want to encourage you. They are the most amazing creatures. You need worms for optimum health. I'll show you how. Feed and care for the worms. And if you do that, you will harvest nutritional soil. Okay, it is their poo from eating the food you gave them, but it is highly nutritious. Then there's a fluid that drains out, and we call it vermity. Vermity, when you feed that to plants, critters and chojos disappear. It is such an amazing thing. Then you feed your bucket garden. You see, if you do not have a garden with soil outside, be like me. I have a bucket garden and harvest healthy, nutritious produce. So here's my worm farm. When you thought it was all yucky, look at it. Earthworms are beautiful. Now here you can have a look at how the earthworm farm works. Right at the bottom, it catches the liquid and there's a little tap where you can drain and find your tea. The next layer is where you start, where you feed them. And as they eat that food and turn it into that rich, beautiful black soil, you put the next tray on top and they crawl through and they start to eat the fresh food. And they leave you this rich soil. And when that is filled, then you add the next tray. And so when they reach the top tray, you've got this rich soil in the background. Now, here is my bucket garden. Welcome to my bucket garden. You see, I've taken old paint cans and put holes in them for airing. And I am growing my produce that I eat in my bucket garden. You can grow anything in your bucket garden. I want to encourage you. Love those little critters and see the produce they create. And from that produce, you will be able to grow optimum health. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you to our Granny B, our contest speaker. Please, I speak under correction here, Granny B. Just want to make sure we're affording the evaluators 5 minutes to prepare their notes.
That's right. We need a timer of 5 minutes, and I am going to pull them into the room so that we don't have 5 minutes of silence in this room. I am going to take you to a breakout room. CJ, you're the only one that won't go yet because I haven't assigned you that, and I will do so in a moment. So everybody, please just get ready to be transported virtually.
So our evaluators will be moved into the breakout room, and we will have our first evaluator staying in the room until called on.
Mr. Contest Chair, if you don't mind, I just would like to remind CJ there is a notice in front of him. He must please just accept and move into the breakout room.
All right. Do we have everybody in there?
Yep, it looks like he's there now. Thank you. You may continue.
All right. We have 4. Can it be just to be sure? Are we waiting the 4 minutes before I call up the first evaluator because they all need the time?
That's correct. In the meantime, you are welcome to announce a quick little break for everybody and that they need to be back in 3 minutes so that we can continue.
Thank you, Granny P. Well, there we have it. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests joining us tonight. We have about 3 minutes for you to go grab a quick snack, go have a glass of water, visit the bathroom if you must, or here's an idea. Go outside, take a deep breath of fresh air, and we will be back at exactly 19:14. If my maths is right, just give or take a minute or so for the rest of the evaluations contest. Take the time to stretch out and take deep breaths, grab some water, and then we'll be back for the rest of the contest. Well, Toastmasters and fellow Toastmasters, also with our guests, we are back. Our evaluators have had 5 minutes. I'm going to check in with our chief judge, Eric Mons. Are the judges ready for the contest, the evaluators contest?
Mr. Contest Chair, yes, I believe so. I can't call their name, so I don't know. I believe they are.
All right, fantastic. I'm happy that you are of confidence that they are ready. I'm glad for that. I'm now going to move on to our first contestant. Just want to see if he's in the room. Can we please release our first contestant into the room? That is Nhlanhla Mafarafara.
He's on his way.
All right.
Mr. Contest Chair, I haven't received his evaluation sheet yet.
Let's check with him once he arrives. Craneby?
Yes.
Sorry, I think I cut you in there.
I think what I will do is just quickly send a notice into that room that everybody sends it to you. And Mr. Chief Judge, just let us know when you have everybody's, please, because it's crucial that everybody sends it, okay?
All right. So we're just waiting on our evaluators to send through their notes. See Chief Judge is receiving messages there.
A point of order, please, Mr. Contest Chair. I see that
Yes,
we've got both the Naledi speakers in the room, and
right.
I am not sure whether Eva dropped off or what took place.
So she just needs to go back to her room.
Sorry.
Eva, if we can just get you back into the contestants room.
It doesn't seem like I have that option. I don't know if she's still in the house.
There she's gone. She's gone over to her room.
I'm still waiting on Eva and Albert Ricketts evaluation sheets.
Right, we are waiting on those evaluation sheets. We will only start once they've all been received, so that it is a fair competition.
Someone needs to have to call them and ask them where the sheets are because their time is up.
I have spoken to Sis Nomonde to tell her to do that. Okay. She's there in the room with them.
And Albert Ricketts?
Yeah, she's given the message to all of them. But I see Eva dropped off again.
All right.
Okay.
She dropped back into the main room, or she dropped off. I'm not sure where she went to.
I'll have a look.
And then I would like to say that Eva has been called to a meeting that was an urgent meeting with her work, and that function starts at 8 o'clock. We need to find out how it is possible to make sure that I'm concerned that if we do the evaluations now, she will not be able to do her speech in terms of her international speech contest. And I'd just like to know from the Chief Judge how you would like us to handle that.
If I may jump in, backup Chief Judge, Eva has asked them for the meeting to be moved till later. But she's just sent that through to the chat.
Okay.
Either way,
if I might make a suggestion, if the other contestants are happy, we can maybe continue and have her to do her international speech now as we're waiting on people to give us the evaluations. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think, Chief Judge, it is something that I did think of. I would rather change her speaking order and inform judges so that she goes first in case we have a time delay, than to change the contest. It affects the scoring for judges. There's lots of forms. I'm concerned it will just create a little bit more confusion than would be necessary given that she's got the time extension. And she's also indicated that we can proceed as planned, so we don't need to make any further adjustments. Thank you, Chief Judge Eric Mans, for that suggestion. I would hope at this point we have received all the notes and we can continue.
Now, I'm still waiting on one. I received Albert.
All right.
I have not received Eva's yet.
All right, Eva, if you can send through your notes for the evaluation to the Chief Judge.
And please, and afterwards, please return to the room again until we call you out.
Yes. Right, I'm going to ask Eva if you can head over to the contestants room. If Eva can head over to the contestants room, and then we can get the evaluations contest underway.
She might have a problem to communicate with us, and she might have a problem to move. So we just need to check whether that is the problem.
All right, it is coming through. All right, I think she is out of the room now. Wait, let me just double check that. I just had a change over there. She is out of the room now. I can confirm that. All right. I think with that said, we can move on to the first contestant. If we can make sure that our first evaluator, Ntantla Mafarafara, has co-host rights so he can unmute and he can and turn on his video. We can return those rights to our first evaluator, Nhlanhla Mafarafara. Zoom master can assist us here.
Dr. Mafarafaro is the co-host.
All right, thank you. Oof. Okay, that's a bit of a difficult request. Chief Judge, I need your advice on this one. Nhlanhla is managing something that is urgent. He's asked to speak second. Is that in order?
It's very difficult.
Are you talking about Eva?
No, this is Nhlanhla Mafarafara.
If Eva is ready to go, we can go with Eva. Otherwise, there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay, I'm going to oblige the request by our first evaluator. If you can please move into the breakout room, evaluator Nhlanhla. Okay, he's back. So I'm assuming I'm going to ask that you turn on your video and put your microphone on, and I'll call you up. We can do a quick check and call you up. All right, there we go. We have video. We have audio. Yes, it sounds like we have audio. We are finally have the evaluators contest underway. Our first evaluator, Nhlanhla Mafarafara. Nhlanhla Mafarafara.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Granny P, that was a very, very beautiful speech, one that I can relate with. And I want to believe that everybody else in the audience was able to relate with it because it was actually calling us to a healthy lifestyle through what we eat. I actually loved the way that you presented it, more in particular, the first minute of your presentation, in your opening remarks when you say, show me what you eat and I will show you what you are. That was really brilliant and something that actually called us to an attention to say what we eat is what we are. And indeed, when you mentioned that organic food have a huge health impact, that was awesome. I loved your great eye contact. I loved your voice variation because you were actually moving with the topic more like you were in a relationship with the topic itself. And you actually made us want to be part of the topic by the way that you actually presented it, by the way that you moved up of the topic, and as well as you moved on. Like, for example, when you said, when you feed your garden bucket, you actually slowed down your voice and toned down your voice so that we felt that emotional contact of your garden bucket relationship that you have. And that was really awesome. It had an intimate and a very much involved feeling out of it. So that was really awesome. But one thing that you can actually work on is how you positioned your camera. For example, when you were speaking, when you wanted to use your hand was actually dropping just beneath the camera and we were not able to see fully, even when you stretch, the way that you can see me. So you could just move a little bit so that when you spread your hands, we are able to see you. When you use your hand like this, we're able to see you. And you can also challenge yourself through speaking on PowerPoint without text by just using images throughout the presentation, because at some point you actually had text flowing one after another. So that disengages us from your voice because we want to read every word that you say. Otherwise, great presentation, great topic, very relevant to our time, especially in the pandemic of fast foods. Thank you very much. Toastmaster.
Request 1 minute silence for the judges. That marks the end of the 1 minute. Now, checking to see if we have Eva in the room. She is in the room. Eva, if you can unmute yourself and turn on your camera. I can see you, and you are not on mute. Our next evaluator, Eva Mtimunye. Eva Mtimunye.
I don't belong. I don't belong. I don't belong. If you've ever felt like this at work, you are not alone. A 2019 review of 62 students on imposter syndrome suggested anywhere from about 10% to 82% of people report having thoughts along the lines of some point of imposter syndrome. This phenomenon.
Eva, I'm going to stop you there and give you a little bit of time. This is the evaluation contest. So if you can compose yourself again and deliver your evaluation. We did receive the notes for your evaluation, so I know you have an evaluation ready. If you could just compose yourself for an evaluation, and we'll do your speech at the time of the speech contest. Is that in order for you, Eva?
Okay, I think I got confused. I thought I was presenting for the dinner. All right, thanks for clarity.
Okay. Are you good to get started with that? Can I reintroduce you for your evaluation?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, our next evaluator is Eva Mtimunye. Eva Mtimunye.
Greetings to Granny B. What an amazing speaker. I always enjoy listening to you all the time. You are my mentor, you are my coach. And most of the time when I listen to you, I learned a lot from you. What I liked about your speech today, a few things that I would like to mention. Firstly, I would like to start with what you excelled on. The opening code, it was amazing. You put together a slide which really talked to us. And your slides and the content, which is relevant to current situation of COVID-19. I like the framework that you used. You had in the middle the connected health, and as you go along, you were bringing in the connections to health. How you engaged us, it was amazing. At the beginning, you started by asking us questions. We were able to say yes or the kit. I was a bit unsure whether I should say I've got a kitchen. I thought, no. Why should she ask us whether we've got a kitchen? But it was amazing. And you encouraged us to participate. Your clarity in terms of explaining and the understanding, it was understood, clearly so. In terms of the vocal variety, you were able to go high and low. The voice was extremely at the right level throughout. The eye contact, clear to us. We could even connect with you to show that you're able to connect with the audiences. The gesture itself, there I would like you to work a bit on it. There was lots of movements, but it's still acceptable. You are always comfortable with when you're presenting, and which I loved that. And I always learn from you how to be content and be able to present, understanding the content of my presentation. The interests, as I said, this topic is relevant during COVID-19 times that we're in. We all owe to look after our health, our well-being, really, really critical during this time. And the topic, as I said, is already relevant. And continue to encourage people around healthy living standards. And it's the cheapest way to actually plant. And well done for delivering such an amazing topic, speech, encouraged speech, and the health learning session today to all of us. Congratulations.
We'll have 1 minute for the judges. That marks the end of the first minute, of that 1 minute rather, and also the end of the Naledi Polokwani evaluation contest. We're now moving towards the Swakopmund evaluation contest, and we've got 2 evaluators there. I'm going to double check to ensure that we have our first evaluator in the room, and indeed we do. If you can please unmute and turn on your camera, I see you there. Well, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, our first evaluator for Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, Mari Krobler. Mari Krobler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Granny B, your speech was clearly understood and it was very informative. Thank you so much. You had great structure in your speech and you created a picture in the mind of your audience, which allowed for your audience to connect as well as to see what you want to convey. You had interesting facts to your speech to produce a healthy food in your kitchen, and your vocal variety excelled above expectations. I like the way that you used the visuals to create the message and to capture your audience. And your hand gestures also allowed for your audience to stay connected. And you may want to pause before starting with your next idea, so to allow for your audience to digest the information provided. And then well done on providing a well-organized speech, and I look forward to more of your speeches and in future. And I want to commend you for staying on time, and well done to you. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Again, we will now have 1 minute for our judges. That marks the end of that minute. Now checking to see that our next contestant is in the room. I see him in the room. Albert Ricketts, if you can please unmute and turn on your camera. Right, there we see you and we can hear you.
Yes.
Our next evaluator is Albert Ricketts. Albert Ricketts.
Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. If music is the food of love, play on. Give me access to it. That's a 30.
Albert Ricketts, I'm
Appetite.
going to ask you to stop. We are busy with the evaluation contest, so if you can compose yourself a little bit. And
I thought we were on the speech already. Sorry.
we'll get to hear it again, don't worry. It's a big taster for everyone and everyone knows to stay. But if you can switch over to evaluation and we can hear your evaluation of Granny B's speech, Optimum Health.
So I need to give the speech.
The evaluation.
The evaluation
of Granny B's
on
speech.
Granny's. Oh, okay. I thought it was just great. Sorry for that one. Let me get back to the evaluation mood. Okay. The speech that Granny B did was really, the language was clear and easily understood. I love the way she used the tone and the speed of her words as well. And the volume. There was a point that she really gives us like a whoa on the speech, you know, but the volume was really nicely and effectively used at some times. The few times that she was visible, she used to engage with the audience very well with her eye contact, and she uses her physical gestures appropriate at all times. Great one, that Granny B. Speaker appears also comfortable with the audience, and what I loved, the storytelling was very, very, very on point. Very, very good content. Granny B, I've got my garden in the backyard. I love, because we all need to these days. Food security is best, and with that goes your health. A little bit of jog in the morning, that's it, Granny, and your organic food and everything, you've put it perfectly. Especially, I love the way you use also the slides to inform the audience about it. And there's only one thing that missed a bit. If you just could have used a little bit of your visibility yourself in the speech, a bit more, that would have been nice, because I love your face. Thank you so much.
Now request 1 minute of silence for our judges.
I just want to make sure I don't see the timing.
It will come up. You'll need to put up the timer. It will clarify it for the speech contest.
Oh, okay. We'll sort it out then. Okay, thanks.
Our next contestant is Lynette Boyson. Lynette Boyson.
Thank you, Contest Chair. My fellow Toastmasters, our guests, and B, optimum health. Eat your food like medicine, or you'll eat your medicine like food. That is a very fitting message in today's age, and something I'll definitely be taking home to the family tonight. If there's one thing that I loathe, it is jargon. And although it's necessary and it has its place, I think it really takes a good communicator to take a seemingly technical concept and simplify it and relay it back to the audience, kind of feed it back to the audience like a mother bird would be feeding one of those worms to her little ones. And you did so excellently. From the get-go, you grabbed our attention with your beautiful descriptive language and humor, of course, with dark and black is good and hohos and critters. Your comfort level was on point. You are definitely a natural, and even when you had to sidestep for a moment, when you were prompting your timer, you did so effortlessly without skipping a beat. So kudos for that one. Your vocal range, your use of volume, your movement, as well as your pauses were excellent. And it really did help us go on that journey with you. You made use of visual aids, which I think was, in addition to your descriptive language, was very necessary, especially such a concept that might be strange to many people. If we had to rely on only our imaginations, it could have taken us anywhere. But the use of those photos, of those images, was excellent. Sometimes it can be difficult to stand on a virtual stage and engage your audience. And tonight I'd like to applaud you for making use of the chat bar and asking questions and involving the audience into your presentation. I can only make two suggestions, and they aren't really big. The one would be that your intro kind of started low energy and started off slightly slow. You definitely made up for it with energy and excitement during the rest of your presentation, but that's something that I would perhaps make a change. And the second thing would be, you made good use of explaining this concept in layman's terms, but I think if you could have maybe just slowed your pace a little bit, it would have helped us to really absorb the message and understand the process of what goes into this organic farming and this organic gardening. But all in all, an excellent presentation, and it's always a pleasure evaluating you, Contest Chair.
We will have a minute's silence for our judges. Well, we have the last evaluator for our evaluators contest from Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club. I'm going to once again check that they're in the room. I see he's in the room. CJ, if you can unmute and turn on your camera. I can hear you and I can see you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Our next evaluator, CJ Janssen. CJ Janssen.
Dear B, what an interesting topic you presented tonight. You have me hooked, absolutely hooked. Excuse me. I love the fact that you involve the audience right from the start. You had us captivated, and moving on, I could just draw on all the great research that you've done. It was so interesting. It was absolutely amazing to hear what you have been going through. What I also loved about you is the fact that you had amazing vocal variety. I mean, it was just so lovely to listen to you and your gestures. It was absolutely captivating. It was on point. What I noticed tonight, which I find that you could improve on, is the quotes that you've used. I noticed that as speaker, you read the scripture, or the quote rather, but when it appeared on the screen, it had different words, and there was a bit of a distraction. It gave me the impression, does this lady know what she's talking about? Another thing that I experienced is that when you put the notes on the screen, you didn't expand on it, but you read it word for word. And I believe it will be a good suggestion or plan that you can implement, is to elaborate on the points that you put there. What I find that you can challenge yourself on tonight is to use a more catching or catchy first word. You know, I mean, they will use it well and so, but the first word well, then immediately, as a listener, a part of the audience, it takes my mind somewhere else. Fortunately for you, you were good in what you presented the rest of the time, so that captivated me. But the beginning, I can't remember because of the word well. It just took my interest away. So I believe that could be something that you can challenge yourself on. This is short and sweet. B, you're an amazing speaker, and go for it. Go for gold. Don't stop. The world is your oyster. Go and sell this idea to the rest of the world. Back to you, Madam, Mr. Toastmaster. I beg your pardon.
We will have 1 minute for the judges.
Unfortunately, I couldn't pin the timer.
End of the 2 minutes for our judges. We are now going to move towards the big event of the night, which is our speech contest. And we have all had the opportunity to hear a few tasters of what is to come. It is now 8 o'clock on my time exactly. I do apologize to our audience and Toastmasters who have joined us. But as it is in the land of Techniland, on some days technology is in your favor and others not so much. But we will press on to the finish. As indicated, we are moving on to our international speech contest, and it is a lot of effort that goes into the speech contest, not just for evaluations and table topics, but especially the international speech contest. Our speakers are excited, and I know they are chomping at the bit to deliver their speeches tonight. Mine is to give you a little introduction of the speech contest and some of the rules that our speakers will have to follow. At this juncture, we know that our speeches are 5 to 7 minutes long. That is the nature of prepared speeches here at Toastmasters. And we have all our speakers in the room. There will be no breakout rooms. Everyone who is here will get to hear the amazing speeches that are in store. Speeches that are shorter than 4 minutes and 30 seconds are for disqualification, and anything above 7 minutes 30 seconds would also count for disqualification as well. Our speakers are reminded to let's start the sentence from the top. Our speakers are reminded to pin the timer at the top of their screens, and our timer that is in operation is timer 2. And just make sure I am spotlighted for everyone. So that is the timer that our speakers need to have on screen, and the mechanism is that they put the pin on the timer so they can see who the timer is and they can see the time indications. You're looking for timer 2. That's a note for our speakers. Timers will be giving you a green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, and the red light at 7 minutes, and that will stay on until your speech has been concluded. Contestants, as I've indicated, may remain in the audience, and the speaking order is exactly as it has been throughout the night for our judges. And I'll quickly go through it for our judges so that they can verify and make sure. Our first contestant will be Nhlanhla Mafarafara, followed by Eva Mtimunye. That's for Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club. Then we have Mari Grobler and Albert Rickards for Swakopmund, and then Lynette Boyson and CJ Janssen for Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club. Well, without any further ado, I am going to move on and call our first contestant. Let me make sure I have done all the housekeeping that is necessary. Indeed, I have completed all the housekeeping. I am going to call on our first speaker for the international speech contest that we have tonight, that is combined for all 3 clubs, from Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club. There's Nhlanhla Mafarafara, World War Me, Nhlanhla Mafarafara.
Please confirm if you can hear me before I start.
We can hear you and we can see you.
Any man who cannot control his emotion is tantamount to a bomb tied to a chest with a trigger that is malfunctioning. That is a disaster in the making. Fellow Toastmasters, my name is Nhlanhla Mafarafara, and there's a war, there's a battle within me. It's almost like Chicken Little when he was sitting under a tree, picking up and dropping up worms for eating for that particular day, when suddenly something fell just next to him. He started looking around and wondered what could have just happened. And he couldn't find anything, then he panicked. In the panic, he started running, he ran. And as he ran, he was running to the king. He said, I am going to notify the king that the sky is falling. The sky is falling. There is disaster in our city. As Chicken Little was running, he's running and running and running and hyperventilating. He met other people in the city who were asking, what is going on? And he said, the sky is falling. Everybody started panicking and running after him to go and notify the king. It's exactly just like that. I realized there was a battle inside of me that I panicked before I could see things. I had this emotional rush and an urge to respond to circumstances before I could apply my mind. And that was tantamount to a bomb tied to my chest waiting to explode. When did I realize this? The other day, after providing a service of coaching sessions for my junior staff, one of the assistants asked me, Mr. Faras, as they call me, how do you respond to a situation that really pushes you to an anger or a confrontation that causes anger or rage to be triggered out of you? I took a deep breath before I offered a response to that particular response. But as I was trying to think about it, I realized that I was dealing with the same thing. It was a battle that I had not yet conquered. It was a question that I had not yet found an answer. I was in search for that particular issue by myself. And I was not ready to respond to it. You know why? Because the other day, But this assistant found me in the corridor having a confrontation, and I was spitting venom to one of the senior officials who gave me a response that sounded more like a sloppy kind of a response to a circumstance or to a work assignment that we had given him, and that work assignment had an effect on my performance as well. And it provided and provoked rage inside of me, and I could not wait for somebody to delay and tell me that I'll deliver another week or deliver another week. But then I looked deep inside of me to find maybe another way of responding to his question, as he was my coachee and a mentee. Do you want a short answer or a long answer? I returned to him. Whichever is going to help me, sir, I'll be happy with it. Instantly, I remembered a certain professor in one class, and he said to us, when you are confronted with a situation that really requires a response, and you are not in a good mood or good emotional state or a mental state to offer a proper response, take a break, walk away momentarily. Don't duck it, but give a legitimate excuse to not give a response in the moment, and then come back when you are sober, rested, and have fully applied your mind. Therefore, you'll be able to give a proper response. And that is emotional intelligence. And that is the same battle that I was dealing with. It's almost like my mouth almost every time was ready to shoot venom, to shoot poison, to shoot bullets, to put somebody down, as if I wanted to show who is the big guy, who knows better, who is the one who's wise. But all the time, it left me in a state of embarrassment. It left me in a state of feeling defeated. It left me in a state of feeling like I've lost because I could not control or manage my emotions. This kind of response that the professor gave is very applicable in a classroom environment. But in a situation where you're confronted with something that triggers your emotions, you will feel rage coming out and bubbling inside of you, almost like a volcanic eruption. And that's what I almost felt when people confront me. I had 3 situations that really messed my head up. 1, when people antagonize me, it pushed me to a corner of self-defense. Number 2, when I expect somebody to give a report on work done and they give excuses, that makes me mad, makes me very angry. And almost all the time, I found myself responding before I applied my mind. And that affected my team. And thirdly, when I get negative critique, you can imagine after speaking so wonderfully and you get a negative critique, that really got to me. So because I realized there was a battle, there was a war within me, I went on a journey of self-actualization and self-awareness so that I can learn the hard way. When I began to learn about emotional intelligence, I noted that my capacity to control and express my emotion needed a little bit of handling. It needed a little bit of some love and tender care so that I could be better by myself and also be better with others. And at the same time, enabling others, creating an enabling environment for my team to work with me with respect, with love, and with feeling good at the same time. So I knew that professionally, I was not going to go up. I was going to start moving on a decline, slowly, slowly. It was not going to be Biggie Macmir, but it was going to be a very disastrous ending. So I went on a journey. I invited my team, number 1, to help me become my accountability partners. So every time I say something that was rushed, I wanted them to hold me, shh, hold on. Number 2, I also wanted them to make me accountable for performances when I perform poorly, because when they perform poor, I'll shout at them or say something. So I wanted them to hold me accountable for my performances. Therefore, I also invited them to help me on a personal development journey and emotional intelligence. And this helped me into a journey of self-mastery. And the last thing that I did, I started teaching what I learned. So I spent time finding out an answer on everything related to personal development, and I teach them. The more I teach them, the more I understand. The more I understand, the more I want to apply it. And the more I want to apply it and then apply it, the better I get. And this is how I defeat the world war within me. Back to you, Toastmaster.
We will now have 1 minute silence for the judges. Right, that marks the end of the time for our judges. I just need to do a little more housekeeping. Our first timer, timer 2 rather, who is Wusi, is having connection trouble. I've asked that timer 1 be given, take on our time indications, just to give Wusi a bit of a break, given the trouble she's had. So if timer 1 can please put the timer slide up so that our speakers can turn the right meeting participant. I'll just give a second for that. While we wait for our timer to be ready, I'm going to ask our second speaker if they can unmute themselves and turn on their camera. Right there, I see you, Eva. Can you just say something so I can make sure your audio is right?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I see our timers display is right. Right, fantastic. We are ready for our second contestant, our second speaker from Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club. Eva Mtumunye, Imposter Syndrome Phenomenon. Imposter Syndrome Phenomenon, Eva Mtumunye.
I don't belong. I don't belong. I don't belong. If you've ever felt like this at work, you are not alone. A 2019 review of 62 students on imposter syndrome suggested anywhere from 10 to 82% of people report having thoughts along these lines at some point. This phenomenon primarily focus on accomplished, successful women. Imposter syndrome can affect anyone in any profession, from graduate students to top executives. Good evening, Mr. Contest Chair, judges, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. I am an engineer by profession. Now I am an executive responsible for 2 big provinces, Free State and Northern Cape. Imposter syndromes, to some extent, it involves feeling a bit of self-doubt and a personal incompetence that persists despite your level of education, the experience and accomplishments that you have. In my case, in 2015, I joined the Department of Communications. I was so excited as a director. Wow, here I come, wearing my suit, feeling empowered as a woman, not knowing that my doubts will come. 6 months later, I registered for Masters in ICT Policy because I felt I needed to continue empowering myself, developing myself. And 3 months later, I fell pregnant with the twins. At the same time, I was supposed to submit a proposal, write a proposal towards the accomplishment of this amazing Masters. 9 months later, I gave birth. The proposal was not ready, and I felt like a failure. I was sitting in a bed after giving birth. I had my computer on the side, and I asked myself, no, I can't be a failure. I'm going to achieve. I decided 2 weeks later to go and defend the proposal at the varsity. I left the kids at home with my parents, and I went there because I believed that I am not a failure. The feeling that I had, the feeling that I felt which I believe I'm not alone in this, is that I felt like I failed myself. I ended up working harder later, 3 months when I went back to work. I felt like I lost 3 months while I was home. And I hold myself accountable for having not achieved the higher standards I set for myself. And this pressure, unfortunately, eventually it took a toll on my emotional well-being and my health. And to some extent, eventually I was not able to perform at work. I took tough projects to show off that even a woman has had a baby. She can be competent and be able to deliver. Even as others, like my colleagues, praise my talents, my supporting husband and the kids, they praised who I am. I felt I'm not good enough. I wrote off all the successes to timing and just good luck. I didn't believe I earned everything on my own merits. Later, I recognized that I am not doing this justice to myself. I continuously blamed myself for mistakes I did. I fueled the anxiety that I felt and the depression and the guilt. There it is. It hit me. I remember one night I was driving from Limpopo to home in Johannesburg. I felt a pain, a severe pain. At that moment, I knew there is something wrong. I paused. I asked myself, what next? I am an overachiever. However, my health is critical. I've got kids. What's next? 4 things I've learned over that period is that I was a perfectionist. One day I was presenting to the ESCOM because I strive for perfection in everything I do. I'm always scared of failure. There was one question they asked. I couldn't answer that question because I critiqued myself. I was not happy. Secondly, I'm an expert and I always want to learn everything there is on the topic. I always believe I needed to have answers to everything. Thirdly, I'm a superhero woman. I ended up linking my competencies to my ability to achieve the roles that I held, like student, being a friend, being an employee, a parent, and a partner. I couldn't navigate them. New roles came, I couldn't take them. I spent time asking myself, why? And there was one phrase that I loved. I learned on trusting myself and the wisdom I created by me. And by that, I realized that I can't remain in this imposter phenomenon. I had to get out. The reason why today I am a happy woman because I know where I stop. Thank you for listening to me.
We will have 1 minute for our judges.
1 minute has finished.
Thank you. Timer. I see Mari has joined me on screen. Let me put myself where everyone can see me. I see Mari has joined me on screen. Mari, if you can unmute yourself so I can make sure that you are audible.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just looking for the timer.
Right, fantastic. Have you found the timer?
Yes, thank you very much.
100%. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, Mari Grobler, the power of positive thinking. The power of positive thinking, Mari Grobler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The positive thinking is thinking of the good in any situation and has effect on your mental health, your psychological health, and your physical health. I think that you can all agree with me that positive thinking is remarkable. In fact, the way that your mind can change your destiny is absolutely incredible. But there have been few incidences or few experiences in my life which I know that positive thinking has changed my destiny as well. Firstly, I want to ask you this question. What do positive people think about all day long? Well, the answer is quite simple. Positive people and happy people and successful people, they think about what is it that they want and how are they going to get it. In that way, they develop a way in which they can grow, and also in a way that they can also change the entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, I was driving with my one friend Jane, and we were on our way to a very important interview. And halfway along the way to her interview, there was just, it felt like a river that was just polluted. All the words and the thoughts that came out of Jane's mouth, I had to stop in the middle and say, Jane, stop for a minute. You need to think positive when you go into this opportunity that will open doors to your future. Throw those negative thoughts behind. The relationship with your teenage daughter that is not on par. Her exams are coming up. You can write a little note where you can say, good luck with your exams. I'm thinking about you, my daughter. That way you can still show that you're a good mom. Your PC that broke down, I have a few technicians in Swakopmund that can help you with that. It will take 2 to 3 days, but we can fix that problem for you. And your son, that first soccer game that you missed, this weekend, take him out for an ice cream. And next time you can diarize as well and make a note on your cell phone. And that way you can still show that you care. You're not a bad mom. So go out there and change your destiny. Take on the great opportunity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why do we want to think positive? We want to think positive because it can increase our energy levels. It can lower our depression levels. It can also help us to cope with difficult situations and stressful situations. It can also enable us to allow for us to have a high quality of life and a longer lifespan. Maybe not having a heart attack too early. Well, positive thinking will not necessarily make all your problems go away, but it can certainly help you to manage those problems in a more simple way, and also to address or approach those hardships in a more productive way. So how can we think positive? Firstly, you need to remind yourself to think positive. Maybe put up a quote on your door or on your workstation. And in the mornings, focus on the good things, 5 good things You can wake up and smell that coffee, the aroma that your husband or your wife had brought you some coffee in bed. You can hear the birds chirping, and you can have a work which you need to go to, which so many unemployed people are just wishing they would have. You have got your loved ones that support you, and you can practice gratitude. Have a journal which you can reflect back on those days that you encounter negative thoughts. Surround yourself with positive people. People that can support you, like Toastmasters. Or maybe you are not good in finances, but focus on your strengths. Maybe your friend can support you in those areas where you need growth. Open yourself up to human. That's the best way to allow you to raise your energy levels and change, have a little bit of a positive mindset. Very, very important is positive self-talk, because positive self-talk, research says that that way which you speak positively to yourself, and that shift that you make can influence your way of the way you behave, your emotions. It can change your emotions, and certainly the way that you act in your time of stress and how to cope with it. So next time, don't say I messed up. You can say I'll try again in a different way. Lastly, identify those areas which you can address, and then you can also take it step for step or step by step. I want to close off with the words with Mahatma Gandhi, who says that your thoughts becomes your words, and your words becomes your behavior or your actions, and your actions becomes your habits, and your habits becomes your values. That's the culture that you create, your environment. And your environment which you create leads towards your destiny. That is where you want to be. Do you want to be happy? Well, I certainly do. Your attitude and your thoughts will not necessarily change overnight. It takes practice, just as someone who has to ride the bicycle. You have to pull through. At the third day, just don't stop until it has formed a habit. Positive people also, they believe that their own actions result in positive things, and that they are responsible for their happiness. So next time I want to challenge you that instead of dwelling on those bad things or those negative thoughts, figure it out and analyze it and see what good can come from it. Think positive so you can reach your destiny. Over to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
We will have 1 minute for our judges. That marks the end of the minute for our judges. Just once again, a little bit of housekeeping. Both my timers had difficulty in the last round. Windy weather down in the Eastern Cape and lights out up here in Polokwani. But I just want to check in once again with timer 1, Disero. I see you've managed to reconnect. Can you put on your timer screen and put your video on? Let's make sure you have all the rights you need to do that before we continue. There we go. Well, almost there we go. Let's put video on and see if we can get the colors going. I see black. I can imagine you probably have to switch through the different images. Just hang on as we sort out the issues with the timing indications. It seems like we're not winning there. So both my timers have issues with getting the time displays to work, with the connection issues happening in different parts of the country at this point. I'm going to ask our chief judge if you can come up and we can see if we can come up with a problem solved solution here. And also if we can have our backup chief judge as well. Can assist.
Sorry, as a point of order, maybe while
Yes.
the chief judge is running around with the tallying at the background, I can try and reposition myself to actually do the timing. I just need kind of 1 minute to be able to do that, and then I can maybe take over as timer for that period.
All right, thank you, Granny B, for being able to jump in. And as contest chair, I could readily run the time behind me, but we are a whole team and we have to pass on responsibilities as best as we can. I do understand that both my timers are still running their timekeeping devices. They are still operational. It's just getting the display right for our speakers. I can see the rolling weather is creating a number of technical challenges for us. I love receiving the rain. It has been a really dry season up north. I'm not too sure it's been in Namibia, but I'm appreciative for all the rain, and we'll just work through the challenges. We are halfway through our speech contest, and I know we are all quite excited to hear the other speeches. I can't say very much about the speeches myself, and I see Granny B is up with the timing. And so our next speaker is Albert Rickards. If he can unmute himself and put his camera on. I see you. If you can just give me a quick sound check there, Albert.
1, 2, sound check.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful,
1,
wonderful.
2, sound check.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. I love it. I do. Well, we have our our second speaker rather for Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. Help me introduce Albert Rickards. If music be the food of love, play on. If music be the food of love, play on. Albert Rickards.
Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pull my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, 'cause now I'm gonna turn it all away. Mama, ooh, I don't wanna die. I sometimes wish I've never been born at all. Carry on, 'cause it doesn't really matter. If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it. That safety. The appetite may sicken and so die. These are the words out of a Shakespearean comedy play, The Twelfth Night, where the character, Orizino, pleaded to his musicians out of frustration in courtship for overabundance of love. Good evening, Toastmasters, distinguished guests. The reason why I choose this topic is simply because I'm a total music enthusiast. And I can't imagine my life, one day of my life, without music. Yes, through my difficult times, I can recall when I was caught up in drugs, music was one of the healing processes that I can proudly say today that I'm cleaned for 13 years now from any crack cocaine or cocaine in my life. That is what music did to me. Compatriots, I strongly believe that music is the man's greatest creation, which really helps us to express our inner and most powerful way of saying nothing without a word. The influence of music on us is what creates us, that creates that huge difference between us as human beings and the animal kingdom. It breaks all geographical boundaries and brings all people together, regardless of their different cultures, social beliefs, political beliefs, or any geographical background. To prove my point, I can show you or perform to you a few of our Namibia's got so much diverse culture in us that from our culture, there is so much diverse music, and I can just grab it and say, "Hey, say mama say, aniku sinku a kwasa matere, kaba kaba tubu kwase, hey, say matere, aniku sinku a kwasa matere." Kaba kaba kubu kwase na huekam summer hibat oshimo vachimo angombe achimo angombe achichi angombe. Hey, and I don't forget our South African brothers on the other side. Let's go for Brenda Fasse. That child, who's my song? It's my song, that one. Here's the corner good Johnny Zizi. Here's in Pillies on Freton Jen with the Brenda does. Yeah, let me get my bread back. Music also has the power of healing our wounds whenever we get hurt. It even has a medicinal effect. It has been proven that when people suffer from brain injuries, it can activate the brain in alternative ways. It will bypass the damages areas, and it helps people to regain movement as well as speech. Music is wonderful. If music is the food of love, play on. In conclusion, music is a gift from God. Lord, send your rain and pour out your spirit. Let your fire fall. Heal us one and all. Lord, fresh on me. I truly believe that when I wake up in the morning and any song whether it's a reggae from Bob Marley, whether it's any tune, it really makes me feel better. And I want to salute all the great musicians who pacify me during my low times and let me celebrate my good times. Hey, here we go! Yahoo! Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. That's one for you. Cut, Mr. DJ. Thank you.
We'll have 1 minute of silence for our judges.
Hoe dit geklink.
Nee, jy net bietjie afgedwaal van point af, maar ek weet jy man het steeds bietjie gewarling. Ja. Maar dit is nog steeds on point. Jy daar nie te veel afgedwaal.
Ek moes net daar 'n bietjie geëerd het nog.
Ja, nee, ek staan jou time.
One minute is over.
Thank you to our timers for the time indication. That concludes the speech contest for Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, and we have for Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club a speech contest coming up now. I see Lynette has joined me on the virtual stage. Can you just give me a quick sound check?
Yes, test 1, 2.
Fantastic. I have audio, I have visual. Help me introduce Lynette Boyston, an underappreciated blessing. An underappreciated blessing, Lynette Boyston.
What if I told you that trauma was a good thing? What if I told you that you needed more trauma in your life and that it might even be the most interesting thing about you? Contest chair, I didn't always have this view. In 2015, I woke up one morning and I started taking score of my life. I was 28 years old and I'd lost my husband the year before in a motor vehicle accident. I was left with my 2 sons, aged 2 and 7 at the time. And during my grief, I'd given up on my career completely with 0 plans for the future. I had pushed away my friends and family because the memories that we shared together all featured my husband, and it was just too painful to bear. I had lost my sense of identity, and I found a sense of guilt because in my mind, my children had lost the wrong parent. You see, my husband was an amazing person. He had his quirks, of course, he wasn't perfect, but he had a heart of gold. He was a patient and loving father. He was a caring husband and provider, and he made impact. Myself, on the other hand, I couldn't keep anything together. I was dazed and confused, and by suppressing this anger about my situation, it had morphed into bitter resentment. And the only thing that resentment wants is revenge. Someone had to take the blame, and all those fingers were pointing at me. Not only was I facing the death of my husband, but I was contemplating my own. I had this war raging inside of me, my will to live versus my will for peace and quiet. I had reached my lowest point ever, a spiritual and emotional rock bottom, and looking back at my life, I saw an endless trail of bad decisions, many wasted opportunities, and broken dreams. I had nothing left to lose. I had nothing left to lose. And as soon as those words got into my mind, a tidal wave of shame flooded over me. Because if I was to give up now, I would only prove that I was right and that the wrong parent did stay behind. It didn't change the fact that I felt like I had nothing left to lose. In fact, at that very moment, I realized that death was inescapable to everybody, and I might as well be all in. I decided to not give up on my children and not give up on myself. We've all heard it, greatly overused and unappreciated. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's words, "What does not kill you makes you stronger," saved my life. I started to understand that trauma in small, manageable doses really could be the answer for me to get my life back on track. And at that point in time, my only goal was to be better and stronger than yesterday. So day by day, I started shaping a new reality, a reality that I live in today. I found love again in a man who ticks all my boxes and pushes many of my buttons too. The perfect love-hate relationship, authentic and passionate. I am the proud stepmother of a beautiful little girl, and my boys have now started becoming young men, and they continue to amuse me and entertain me with their profound wisdoms and perfectly timed farts. I'm back on track with my career, and I found passion in politics, public service, philanthropy, and education. And better yet, I've started combat sport. Picking up a pair of boxing gloves twice a week has shown me that I am not a lump of sugar. I was building resistance to stress in my life in the same way that I was conditioning my body to take a hit in the ring. You see, muscles are micro-traumatized as they are stretched and torn under the stress of exercise. And how does life respond to that trauma? Well, it heals the muscle, and it makes your body fill out and become bigger and stronger and faster, more handsome and more sexy. But the biggest lesson that I've learned was, instead of reading an endless list of self-help books and lapping up their magical promise of nirvana where everything just turns out peachy, I was trying to protect myself from pain in a life-sized ball of bubble wrap. What I needed to do was move towards the trauma. I had to reclaim my destiny. Shying away from stress and trauma is like banning the gym because people might experience some muscle pain, or in the way that we protect our children and have them not make mistakes and learn those valuable lessons. In order to grow, we must endure. We must endure trauma and adversity. And today, I can look back at 2015 with gratitude, and I can even look forward to some more defeat. Contest chair, when trauma strikes, rising up to the challenge unlocks hidden potential within ourselves. And sometimes when a person is forced out of their comfort zones, it's only then when they realize what they are capable of. In a world where so much has changed around us, when we're faced with fear and uncertainty, I only have one message for you. embrace it. Because you want to be traumatized by life, and life wants to be traumatized by you. And once you start tasting this, you'll realize that life responds in a beautiful way. Strong people are formed in the storms that they endure. The only lasting trauma is the one we suffer without making a positive change. Contest chair.
We will have 1 minute for our judges. There I see our next speaker has joined me on stage.
1 minute is over.
Thank you to our timekeeper. Our last speaker for tonight, most certainly not least. Help me introduce to the stage CJ Jansen. Stay or leave. Stay or leave, CJ Jansen.
Imagine you are a 15-year-old young boy, or a teenager for that matter, and you've been preparing yourselves thoroughly overnight, on night after night. You have been so faithful in doing what you're supposed to do. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, more than 40 years ago, oh, that's a long time for some of you. I was in a situation where I was asked to play at a very prestigious event, the recital of my life. I was really preparing for it because this is now really a lifetime experience and a lifetime opportunity to impress people around me. And I had friends attending, all the VIPs of the town, they were present. And my father made sure that I will not embarrass him and that I will practice and practice and practice. I did it so well that I didn't even need the music sheet to play from. At the night of the recital, I came out and I bowed to the audience very, very gently, the way that I was taught. And then I started playing. And I played from my heart. I really gave my all. And then I came to a certain point where it said DC. DC, for those of you who are not familiar with musical terms, stands for da capo, meaning go back to the beginning. And right when I stopped and I went back to the beginning, playing a beautiful classical piece, there was an old lady sitting in the audience. And she was exclaiming loudly, "Oh, shame, he doesn't know his piece." Imagine a 15-year-old, I wanted to die. Oh no. At that moment, I had to decide, I'm going to stay on the stage or I'm going to leave. My survival instinct kicked in and I stayed put. And I continued playing right through until the end. I had people coming to me, my ex or my former music teacher came to me and said, "You did well." But what stood out most to me was the words of my father. he put his arms around my shoulders. He looked at me and said, "Son, I'm proud of you that you didn't run off the stage." So many times I could hear my father's word in my mind when I had to make decisions. Am I going to stay or am I going to leave? Tonight was one of those evenings. Absolutely, when things were just going haywire and I felt so embarrassed. Question, will I stay or will I leave? So many times I've experienced this in my life, many, many occasions. And every time I could hear my father say, "Son, are you going to stay or are you going to leave?" Now, not all the time I've been obedient to that voice in my head. Not all the time I've listened, and inside was a turmoil and I was not feeling so good. And I decided, well, I'm going to run off the stage. I'm not going to stay put. And then I would really feel so bad inside. But knowing that as human beings, we all make mistakes. As human beings, we always have a second chance. There's grace for us. That keeps me going. And I believe tonight standing here is one of those things. Those of you who do not know, about 2 years ago, I was doing the same thing. And I think I went on to the district, or not the division level. And this was the first online contest that we had. I prepared so well. I learned it out of my head, off my cuff. I could say it. I could. Oh my, oh my. On the night of the contest, I was so confident. I was well prepared. Just for me not to hear a single thing while the Toastmaster and while everybody could trying to say something to me. There was no sound. I was in the middle of the space and I felt so embarrassed. And I could decide, well, I will never attempt a Toastmaster contest again. But that voice inside of me asked me, are you going to leave Toastmasters? Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? I believe many of us have the same scenario. We face it every day. What will we decide? Are we going to stay? Are we going to leave? I had a situation at work. I had to decide I'm going to stay. I'm not going to leave. Life is a lot of challenges throwing it at us, putting us under pressure, putting us into a furnace of fire. It was really hot at times. Will we stay in that fire or will we leave? I've been through a lot, and I believe many of you. If I look at my friends, their hair is still black, dark. Mine is done gray. Well, at least my daughters call me Silver Fox, so that makes me feel better about my hair, But the hair is because of all the challenges, all the stuff that I've gone through. And I could have taken my life a long time ago. It came up in me and just get rid of yourself. But the decision, will I stay or will I leave? I'm grateful that I had the choice. I'm grateful that I could make the choice to stand here tonight. And maybe somewhere in the crowd, maybe there's someone that has to hear this. Decide to stay and not to leave. Because tomorrow is better than today. Tomorrow the sun will shine again. The night, it will not stay night forever. The sun will rise. Mr. Contest Chair, back to you.
We'll have 1 minute for the judges to score our speaker, an additional minute for them to wrap up their ballots. I would also like to remind judges that they do need to sign their ballots once they have completed them. Well, I think that marks the end of our 2 minutes. I have received instruction. Our judges, let me just make sure who it is that needs to move. Our tally counters will go into a breakout room with our chief judge for the tallying of the ballots from tonight. So if they can just accept the request that has come on screen. I think that is everyone. Judges will forward their results through to tally counters, will then forward it through to our chief judge. Our timers will forward through their times to the chief judge as well. They will be busily readying the results. They've been attending the whole night and keeping track of proceedings. And so they'll be determining who the winners in our contests were. That is the contest at Walvis Bay, the contest at Swakopmund, and the contest at Naledi Polokwani tonight. Fun times. While they do that, my role, I just want to make sure before I start with the interviews, chief judge has already moved rooms. Just want to make sure, Granny B, may I continue with the interviews?
Yes, you may. And just also to remind the other telecounters to accept the message. Thank you.
Yes, let's tally counters. Let's all head over into the tally room. Let me just close some of the screens I have on my screen just to make sure they're all out. I still see one here. It's waiting for them to move. There we go. I don't see any tally counters in the room anymore. I'm going to call up, let me reset my timers on this side. I'm going to call up our first contestant from Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club for a short interview, and we will be interviewing all our guests. But I think before we do, Granny, I'm not sure if we can do that. Can I ask the audience to give us one big round of applause if they can be allowed to unmute? Is that okay? Or shall we immediately press on?
Just give me a moment to change that setting because right now they can do nothing. Just give me a moment.
All right, that's why I thought to ask.
And
imagine be the only one celebrating out here.
Right, I've given them abilities to put their videos on and to be able to unmute themselves, and therefore you may go.
Can I please ask the audience and everyone in the room, please put your hands together for our contestants and cheer them on for such a fantastic night tonight. Well done, guys, well done. Thank you so much. I know our audience is still warming up and they will warm up a little bit more. I'm going to call on our first contestant for tonight. This was Ntlantla Mafarafara from Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club. Ntlantla, I've already introduced who you are. I've already introduced which club you come from. Tell us a little bit about what inspires you the most. Share with us.
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to my fellow Toastmasters. The one thing that inspires me the most is seeing people grow. It's life, the growth of people. And this is what makes me to speak. This is what makes me to read and to fulfill my purpose, which is to contribute. So I contribute to life. And that's what really inspires me, the beauty of life.
All right, thank you so much, Ntlantla, for that. I have one more question. Because you've told us about what inspires you, and it is life. I want to also find out from you, what is your favorite quote? And also tell me why it is your favorite quote.
My all-time favorite quote is from Jim Rohn. Don't wish that things were easy. Wish that you were better, because life throws things at people all the time. And every once in a while, one would wish, I wish this trouble was gone. I wish this was not thrown at me. But trust me, you don't need to wish that problems were not thrown at you. You should wish that you were a better problem solver. And that's how life progresses to the beauty, and it unfolds just like that.
Thank you, Ntlantla, for sharing with us that we should wish that we were indeed better people. I have so little time to share with my contestants tonight. So Ndandla, I'm going to thank you for sharing with us your perspective. I'm now going to move on to our next club, but before I do, Eva has dropped me a message to let me know that she is already otherwise engaged, as she had indicated, and we are running over time, so I'm thankful that she was able to share that with us. I'm going to move on to our next club, which is Swakopmund Toastmasters Club, and call on Mari Hrobla. She can join me on stage. She gave us the speech, The Power of Positive Thinking. She's of Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. Mari, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited, but yeah, I had a little bit of nerves, but it was great fun. I enjoyed this evening. I learned a lot.
I need to quickly pull up your profile on screen so that I can ask you questions here. You know, Mari, all our contestants have had to share a little profile about themselves, and the one thing I found interesting about some of your hobbies. Could you please tell us a little bit about your hobbies and why they matter so much to you as a person?
Okay, what I like to do, my hobbies are I do jogging. That helps me to reduce some of my stress, and with family to watch some rugby. That interaction with the men and my father-in-law, and yeah, just to interact there. And then I also like to travel. Travel is also, even though the lockdown was here, I like to travel because you see something new and you have new memories and experience different things. So yeah, that I enjoy very much.
Oh, fantastic! I love that. I love traveling because one gets to see so much about the world, and I think that is a shared interest that we have there. I am also going to ask you as well, Mari, what inspires you? We've heard your speech and we felt inspired. What inspires you the most?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. What inspires me is that people that make a difference in the community, where you are and where life's journey takes you. Wherever you come, there's always something to change and some impact that you can make. So yeah, within the community, change and impact that you make.
That is truly inspiring. You're inspired by those that make the greatest change in community. You know, it's not what a person can do for themselves, but what they can do for the people around them. Lift as you rise is one way of saying it. Thank you so much, Mari, for sharing your interests with us and those things that help you drive into the next day and make you to be the person that you are today. Thank you for sharing so openly with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks again. Well, that is our contestant from Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. Now we move on to Albert Ricketts. You saw him on our screens a little bit earlier, serenading us with those most beautiful duets. Well, I can't say it's a duet because you're singing on your own, but you sung so beautifully. Albert?
Yes.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I only normally sings in the shower when I get paid.
I am delighted that you decided to join us and share that singing ability with us. It definitely sparked our interest and got our thoughts really flowing about your speech. If music be the food of love, play on. And indeed, you did play on. Albert, I want to hear a little bit. I've heard all the singing. I hear you love diversity and you celebrated it so much in your speech tonight. What inspires you the most?
Mr. Chair, to be honest with you and to be frank with you, what inspires me is people. I love people, different kinds of people. And really, I like open and frank people. I really love people that inspires me by their doings in a lovable way, because the first thing that comes to me first is to show love. And everything boils at the end of the day to love. Because to love your neighbor, to love everyone, even to love your enemy at the end of the day. So what really inspires me is the lovable factor of people and what I can draw from them. That's the best.
Oh, I love that. I love that. How people and the love that they have inspires you. It is almost like that never-ending battery that just keeps giving energy. I love how you put that together. You shared with
Thank you.
us, well, you shared with me rather, that your favorite quote, and let me make sure that I get it right, is that it is not how many times you fall, it is rather how many times you stand up. And we heard a little bit about that in your speech. It's not how many times you fall, but how many times you stand up. Could you share with us,
Yes,
Alfred, why that is your favorite quotation?
yes, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you stand up. And as I look back into my past, and whenever I've experienced the bad, and as I said even in my speech, that I've been through so many obstacles and so many trials and tribulations in my life, but I could have already given up long time. I could have just say, that's it. I was on the verge of suicidal thoughts and all of it, and I've even done it, tried to do it. But at the end of the day, although you fall, although you do your mistakes, although you go through it, don't lie down. Stand up and move on. Take the next battle. Take the next devil, because every level has got another devil. So you have to just never ever give up. Never ever. Just go on again. Tomorrow is another day. Thank you.
Wow, Albert, I could draw so much from you as a contestant, but it is all that I have time for. The results have slowly started streaming in. I have to move on to our other contestants for the night. Thank you so much for joining me here at the international speech contest of our combined clubs. I now move on to our penultimate speaker for tonight, and that is Lynette Boyson, who shared so emphatically in her speech that we shouldn't be scared of trauma. In fact, we may need to seek it out and look at traumatizing life. And I appreciate the play of words there. Lynette is of Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club. She is the president there. If you can join me on screen. I don't see her yet.
I am here, Mr. Chair.
I hear your voice. I hear your voice. There we go. Let's do add the spotlight. It's always great to have some company when we do these. Lynette, I'm going to pull up your profile, but while I'm waiting for that to come up, could you please share with us what your favorite quotation is, and then also share why it is so important to you?
So my favorite quote, and I honestly don't know who said it. I won't be able to give credit there, but my favorite quote is, perfection has one big defect. It's apt to be dull. Now, to be honest, I think perfection is very subjective, and what's perfect to me might not be perfect to you. But generally speaking, I think perfection is very predictable. And I don't like that. I like the idea of novelty and creativity, flexibility, and being able to work outside of your boundaries and kind of just push the limits a little bit. So yes, that is absolutely my favorite quote, and I'll stick with that one, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you for sharing that with us, that perfection can become predictable, and we need to show our uniqueness and let it shine through. I love that. And then also, Lynette, some of your hobbies, tell us a little bit about them. And I heard in your speech you spoke about some of the Oh, you did mention it. I have the picture in my mind and the word escapes me now. Please tell us a little bit about what got you started in, it's a physical activity. I'm tempted to say it's kickboxing or something in that field. But tell us a little bit about that. Why that specifically?
Well, it should be. It really is a long story. You see, I have 2 young boys, and I'm a very busy mom. I belong to many different executive committees and being director at the school, and I try to be involved in the community as far as possible. And to me and my family, we kind of value quality time over quantity time, and I had to find a way to spend more time with the boys. And they were doing karate, and it just wasn't a good fit for me, and we unanimously decided to take up boxing. So I do boxing with my sons twice a week. I'm the only female in the class. Sometimes it's a little bit, intimidating, but it makes me feel good. And it kind of does, like I've alluded to in my presentation, it does give you that bit of empowerment, and it shows you, you really can take a hit if you need to.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. I just really appreciate how unique the stories across Southern Africa are. Lynette, I really wish I could have more time with you. And I know I say this of all our contestants, but I really do. Such inspiring speeches, such inspiring stories. I'm inspired greatly by the stories of the people of this land, and I'm glad I could have been a part of this all to hear those stories. Thank you so much, Lynette. I am going to move on to our last contestant for tonight, and that was CJ Jansen of Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club. I see he's on screen and I can see he's unmuted. I loved how you kept bouncing back, CJ. I've introduced your club, and everyone who's in the meeting knows you by name at this point. I'm not even going to hold it back. I'm not going to share it with our contest attendees tonight. I'm going to ask you, tell me what your favorite quote is. And give me a little bit of a story about why it is your favorite quote as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Contest Chair. This isn't a quote by an unknown person. Unfortunately, I couldn't get his name. Maybe he's well known to others. But it says, "You are never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream." And that's, being who I am and my road, the way life treated me. I've always been a person who I can't stay long in one place, and I cannot just be rather succumb to circumstances, and I always pop up like a cork piece of cork, coming up again and so on, like say popping up. That's my nature, and sometimes you dream wrong dreams, or sometimes you imagine you have to do something, and sometimes you actually do the right thing, and then you have opposition, you have things coming along the way. Look at COVID-19, it really blocked a lot of our dreams and things like that. But and many people gave up on their lives. But to me, it's you're never too old. You just dream another dream, just set new goals and continue. I joined Toastmasters 5 years ago. Before, I haven't heard of Toastmasters. And then I got introduced, and I just love it. I actually love the stage. Even though an Olympic athlete actually starts training from young. I only started training now, so I've got a lot to learn still. But I love it. I just love it. I love the adrenaline coming, and the nerves and the butterflies, eagles almost inside. Yeah.
Thank you, CJ. It is really the right kind of stress that drives us forward. I loved that. I'm going to ask you a quick question, and then Granny B, I'll respond. CJ, your hobbies. Could you share with us your hobbies and why the different hobbies that you have speak to you as a person?
I like camping outdoors. I love the savanna fields. Oh, it's such a wonderful experience to smell the grass, you know, to experience the animals around you. You have a braai in the middle of the cold winter nights, you know, with a bonfire going in the braai. And even camping here at our coast here in Namibia, I love doing it with my family. It's like an annual trip that we always undertake, and it's just a good time to de-stress and get rid of a lot of things that you've been putting into your bag, you know, throughout the year. I just love it. It's so rejuvenating, you know, replenishing the spirit and, you know, your soul doing that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, CJ. And I know this because I spend quite a lot of time speaking to you during our contestant briefings. So I know we can talk. We've only just scraped the surface of some of the fascinating stories that you have to tell. And I do hope that at Toastmasters we get to hear more of those stories, and to our audience as well. You've heard the stories from 3 different clubs. Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club. You've heard the stories of Walvis Bay Toastmasters Club and Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. Visit these Toastmaster clubs and you get to hear more of these stories. I've had a chance to visit Walvis Bay and I got to hear some more of the stories as well. But CJ, thank you so much. I am going to go for another round. I have received the results from Naledi's contest. The results are with me, but our tally counters do need a little bit more time. It is a tremendous amount of results that are streaming through, and I do thank my audience for staying on with us till this time. We're only a few minutes away from getting all the results in as they're coming through. Well then, I'm going to go back to the top of our contestants, and that is Nhlanhla. If you can join me on screen again. And this is the fun part now, Nhlanhla, because this is completely unprepared. I'm out of notes. You are out of notes. So we are really going to make this one work. Nhlanhla, I always love hearing the stories behind the speeches because we don't always get to hear those stories. I know some of my stories. Some of them involve speeches taking months brewing inside you before they come up. Some of the speeches are prepared, you know, the day before, and you rehearse them tremendously. Tell me a little bit about the story behind World War Me.
Let me start by saying the story behind World War Me is not a created story. It's not a creative product. It's a reality. It was a reality check for me that happened this year, actually, when one of my pharmacist assistants actually asked me a very baffling question, and I could not respond to the question of how do I deal with emotions, especially when confronted with hard knocks, because he had previously observed me exchange heated debate with one of the senior officials where I work for poor performance. And I'm one person that I really hate poor performance and I don't wait for tomorrow. But that day, yeah, that was the wrong one of it. It had very smoky flames out of it. So when I was doing my level 3 on my pathways, I came upon an assignment that said, document this emotional tantrums that you have and related matters. So I just picked up one. There's several things. And fortunately, I've managed to go through most of them and overcome, went through coaching and development to hit and brew myself to be a better person to respond. So now I have that delay tactic to wait for the right time to speak. And oftentimes these days they say, when Mr. Mafarafara is annoyed, he smiles. So when you annoy me a lot, I smile and I keep quiet and I talk about something else, and I'll come back tomorrow to the same subject in a calmer way where I've applied my thought. But yeah, that's where it comes
Oh, thank you, Nhlanhla, for sharing that story. That it is a journey. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't a journey in your mind, but it was a journey in the actual real world. Mistakes were being made. You were recovering, and I appreciate how the Toastmaster journey has also helped you. I'm going to do just this one question with all our contestants. So thank you for sharing with me, Nhlanhla. I'm going to ask Mari if she can join me again with the same question to her. Mari, the power of positive thinking. What inspired you to share this speech at the International Speech Contest? Tell us a little bit about the journey of creating this speech.
Okay, I was also on my level 3 pathway, and it asked me to provide a speech to inspire the audience. And I thought, well, sometimes one goes through dips in one's life. You get the disappointments, and you need to pick yourself up. So what am I going to do that will inspire the next person that is maybe feeling like I'm feeling at that stage or that point in time? And I focused on something that can help me to improve as well every day. And I've been trying it already a few months back, and it helped me. But sometimes there's just that one thing that knocks one down, and you have to remind yourself to pick yourself up and think positive and see what else you can do to you use that situation, that skill that you have, or that speech you have, or that idea that you have, that you can overcome that negative thought that comes to your mind. So yeah, it was actually also an inspiring situation for me, and I was looking for something that the next person can take along as well.
Thank you, Mari, for sharing that with us. Well, I've just had a look at my messages that are streaming through here in the background. I think there will be enough time for our tally counters to get all the results in by the time that I get to the last result that needs to come through. Granby, I just want to check in with you. May I move on to the announcements of the results for tonight? We just got one set of results. Yes, Granby?
Did you say you only have one set of results so far? You don't have all 3 sets?
No, I've got 2 complete results, and I have just the international contest result outstanding for Walvis Bay. So I've got
okay, then I would say maybe just do one interview and then we go on to that. Then we should be fine with everything. Okay.
Okay, 100%. Well, that was Mari sharing us the inspiration behind her speech. We are now going to move on to, I think it could be Albert at Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. If you can join me on stage again. And the same question to him. I'm just waiting for him to join me on stage. Albert, we heard the music. We heard the title. Can you share with us the journey behind the speech? What was the inspiration? What got you to the speech that you delivered tonight?
Funny enough, this was my first speech for my journey on Toastmasters. And as I mentioned even in my speech, that music is really dear to me, and it really provokes everything in my life, you know. And whenever I go, even if I go onto the beach and stand there, I normally put on some music and I just meditate on the music side. So yeah, sorry for that one.
Not a problem.
Yes, the thing is, I just feel that it's so much joy given me, that music gives me, you know, and even to other people as well. And as in my speech, even if I say, you know, it's medicinal even to some people. And it helps people. And I like to watch these reality shows, your pop shows, you know, like The Voice, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, and you will see even people, how music has affected people all over the world. And there's always a story behind people, how music has helped them or saved them from many other things. So yeah, that is just me, and I'm a happy, clappy, jappy person, and I love my music.
Thank you. Thank you, Albert, for sharing that with us and how soothing music is to you. I have Chief Judge has joined me on screen, so I think we can move on to our results tonight. Chief Judge,
Have you received them all, Mr. Chairman?
I have received all the results. I have got them on my screen. I had dropped you a text message. I don't see any disqualifications. I just want to confirm that there were no disqualifications. Well, Toastmasters, I hope we can all unmute our microphones. I just want to test that the audience is still with me. If we can just all unmute and give me some applause and some hand claps. I know it's late at night and some have gone to bed. Just give me an indication that you're all still with me. There we go. There we go. I can hear the soft claps. Because it is late at night and I know some have started going to bed, if you can turn on your videos, and I'd love to see just your celebrations or use those reactions so that we can join each other up here. It may be a silent celebration, but a celebration it will be. I'm starting with Naledi Polokwani's results, and we will do this in reverse order. Chief Judge, is there anything you want to let me know of before those results?
There were one or two draws, and I'm not going to say which clubs they were and in what area it was. And I had to consult with the tie-breaking judge, and he made a decision.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Judge. I will be announcing the results in reverse order. So that is second place and first place. For each of the contests, I'll announce them and the winner. And if we can all celebrate the winner of that contest, I would greatly appreciate that as we draw to the close of this truly unique contest tonight. I'm not going to draw this out any longer. For Naledi Polokwani Toastmasters Club, the table topics in second place. If I can get a semi-drum roll, please. In second place, we have Eva Mtimunye. Well done, Eva. And then in first place, we have Ntlantla Mafarafara. Well done, Ntlantla. Moving on to the next contest. Moving on to the next contest, which is our evaluations contest. I'm just zooming in to make sure I'm reading the correct results. Here we have the evaluation contest. In second place, we have Ntlantla Mafarafara. And in first place, we have Eva Mtimunye. Well done, Eva. Then moving on to our international speech contest in reverse order. In second place, we have Ntlantla Mafarafara. And in first place, advancing to the area contest for Naledi Polokwani, we have Eva Mtimunye. Congratulations, Eva. We will be sending through your certificates. Moving on to Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. on to Swakopmund Toastmasters Club. The table topics results: in second place, we have Mari Grobler. And in first place, we have Albert Rickards. Congratulations for those table topics. The question being, the difference between try and triumph is a little bit of oomph. Then we move on to the evaluations contest for Swakopmund. In second place, we have Albert Rickards. And in first place, we have Mari Grobler. Congratulations, Mari. Going on to represent Swakopmund at the next level of contest, area level contest. Then, for the international speech contest, in second place, we have Mari Grobler. And in first place, we have Albert Rickards. Congratulations, Albert. Special thanks to the Toastmasters from Swakopmund Toastmasters Club there. Then our Walvis Bay speech contest for tonight. Is there something you want to add, Granny V, or did I misread a signal there? All right, so we're good to go. We have in second place for the table topics, Lynette Boyson. And for first place, we have CJ Janssen. Congratulations, CJ, moving on to the next level there with the table topics. Then the evaluation contest, we have in second place CJ Janssen. And in first place, we have Lynette Boyson. Congratulations, Lynette. Then the last awards for tonight, and definitely been a long night. Many thanks to all our contestants. In second place, we have CJ Janssen. And in first place, we have Lynette Boyson. Many, many thanks to the Toastmasters, the contestants, for being with us tonight. It has been a marathon night. We have transcended all manner of storms and bad weather, connection issues, technical challenges. I have started by thanking the contestants, but I also want to thank the audience members for being present throughout the whole evening. And then also the role players. It has been a tremendous journey. The briefings, the next briefings, the text messages, more briefings, and even more text messages, the documents, everything that went into tonight. It has truly been a special night. It will always be a special night for me. This was my first contest as contest chair. 3 clubs, 2 countries, and everyone that has participated tonight. It is a stellar achievement. 6 contestants, 3 clubs, 2 countries, 1 contest, Southern Africa coming together in ways that will always be memorable to us all. It is now 21:43 on my time here in South Africa. It will probably be similar down in Namibia. Thank you to everybody, timekeepers, ballot counters, judges, the chiefs across the board, the backups across the board. I wish you all a blessed evening, a good night, and a productive week ahead. That is almost a 4-hour meeting for some of us. Well done, Toastmasters from across Southern Africa. Good night.
Good night.
Good night and congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr.
Cameras
Chair.
on for a
Great work.
photo.
Let's put our
Photo.
cameras on.
Photo.
Let's put our cameras on
Photo.
before everybody goes and take a picture.
Just put your cameras on quickly. Let's have some photos, please. Thank you so much. We want to see who are these people that have been these marathon runners that just carried on and carried us.
Warm smiles, everyone. Warm smiles.
And with that, please, at 3, a smile. 1, 2, 3, and smile. And then just hold on. I want the power one. You know, I always want a power shot. Okay, so Ntlantla, your video went off black. And now,
you can see him now.
Power shot. On 3. 1, 2, 3, and power. There we go. You made it. There we go. Thank you, everyone. You are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Judges.
Well done, bye. Go.
Thank you all the judges. Much appreciated.
Thank you all.
Night,
Stay
guys.
safe. Bye.
Good night.
Wow. Granny B?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you so much. Polokwani, I still see you on the call. Kariso, thank you. Really appreciate it. Kariso, for jumping in when you did, as you did. Bulelo got stuck in a storm. I really appreciate it. I will find ways and means to get chocolates to you as soon as I can.
Not good food.
Oh, Granny B.
As long as it's sugar-free for me, I'm all good.
We'll make a plan. We'll make a plan. Thank you so much, Granny B, for everything in the background. I really appreciate it. It's been a long, long night. And I'm not sure how many other clubs have done a joint club contest and made it a speech evaluation and table topics contest as well. We may well be some of the first in District 74.
This was a historic occasion.
I think so
Landmark
too.
occasion. Very well done to all the organizers. It's been a pleasure. 4-hour marathon. But hey, you know, history has to be made somehow.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank
what an
you,
encouragement.
Polokwani.
Thank you, Polokwani. And you know
Have a
what?
good one.
We got to meet people that we didn't even know from before. This is so amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the precious part of it. Like Polokwani, you're the first time I'm seeing you, you know? Wow. And we're talking across a continent with each other, not continent, country, you know, and we don't even need a passport or a jab or anything. We're just there.
What interesting.
Fantastic.
It's been a great night. I won't lie. It's substituted with some of the marking that I still have to go through, but this was definitely worth it.
Wow.
Thank you, PK, for pulling through. I appreciate it so much. Granny B, I think we can end the meeting for all.
Oh, thanks so too. Be blessed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claude. That was it was really good. And yeah, you know, I'm a direct communicator and I'm just with my direct communication and I have to, you know, put the Band-Aid on after the meeting. But thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciated the input. And at some point, it just needed to come through directly because time wasn't always on our side. I'm glad I could pick it up and shoot with that.
And we just did it.
Really thankful.
Okay.
And I think we can all have a good night's rest now.
Yes, we can do that.
Cheers.
Bless you. Bye-bye. I'm ending the meeting now.